I have to go back. My family came to California. I was born in Los Angeles 97 years ago. So anyway, my family came out to California from New York. My grandfather came into San Francisco and decided I'd kind of like to see what Los Angeles looks like. So he came down to Southern California and he built the first theater in Los Angeles. The Mason Opera House was up on North Broadway, and it was the first of a string of theaters, legitimate theaters, that he bought and built, like in Pasadena and Glendale. Anyway, that was his business, was the theater business. And I have many different programs that of people who, thank you, were at the Opera House. And these are the programs, most of these programs are in UC Irvine. I have some I still have from, obviously, that I kept. But most of the programs are in the library at UC Irvine. This speaks to people, and I will pass these if you're remotely interested. Pavlova as a dancer. This speaks to her being at my father's theater.
Wow.
What's the date on that?
Oh, geez.
birthday date?
March 6, 1915.
Wow.
They just tore down the theater, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But it was really a landmark. And Dad went on from there. He always stayed in the theater business. I grew up being able to go with passes because he could reciprocate with that. It's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to see so many different artists. And now I have to pay. That's the bad news. But at any rate, my family has been very, very active in the state and in Southern California. And I have had so many opportunities, really, as I say, to see some outstanding artists. The first theater in Los Angeles, my grandfather came here in California, as I say, after the Civil War, and from New York. And the family has been very instrumental in putting things together for the communities. And I guess it has brushed off. How many of you are aware of the pre-K programs and the preschool program here? Okay. I was the first teacher. It's 63 years old. And I'm still involved with a scholarship in my name. And somebody just called me this week and said we had a $500 check come in for students, to the parent to come in and be involved in the program. And I can't believe that they're bringing me the check this week. When I think of Manhattan, We lived on the Strand when my husband was in the South Pacific, and this was his comment, you know, we're gonna live either in Manhattan or PV. Well, I was working at a wholesale jewelry house in Los Angeles at the time, and one of the persons, a salesperson from Bullock's downtown, lived on 216 Strand. There used to be units there where there were three here, and so forth. Okay, we lived in that. When Bill got home, we lived there, and they raised the rent, which we were paying $50 a month.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And, you know, everything pulled down. There was no bedroom. It was one room.
Mhm.
And that was it. But when they raised the rent, we decided, you know, this is crazy. Why are we paying rent? Well, so anyway, we bought up at 510 Dianthus for $7,000. And I'm sure that's not a shock to anybody here now. But we've been in that house, and I'm still in it. And I'm hoping that my kids can take over in the house. We did live, we moved from Manhattan to Los Osos, San Luis Obispo. We were there 10 years, and then our first grandchild was due. There's no way in heaven's name I was going to be 200 miles away and have my first grandchild. So I commuted on my job for a couple of years, but the minute that Joanne was pregnant, we moved and came back to our house. Joanne has taught in Manhattan. She'll be ready to retire, I hope she will, this year. She's been at Penny Camp now for many, many years. And I think it's time she retired and enjoys it. So, at any rate, my granddaughter, when she came, as I say, we moved back, and I took her to our pre-school program as a grandparent. It was an experience that everybody should try and have. You see them in a totally different environment, and get to know them so much better. I think this is one of the greatest joys I've had, to see our program of pre-K, well, birth to pre-K, through the adult school with the 63 years. It's the teachers, and so help me, John, they are the most wonderful women I have ever had the pleasure of working with. We're still good friends. I depend on them for a great deal of thoughts and memories. I have a picture here of some of the teachers, and at this point, Jerry was our guiding principal at that time. And I don't know, anybody know Becky Maynard? Mm-hmm. When I retired, Becky took over my responsibilities. And she has, in the 63 years, we have had 3 administrators.
Wow.
And I think that says something, that they're happy with what they're doing. I think I have had this is Maricosta, Did you know they had a farm?
Yeah, right after.
Betty, you want this? I think I have a thing about parks. Across the street, there used to be a building, and even Jan Dennis doesn't have a picture of this. But it is what used to be where the library is now. It used to be the Manhattan Beach Property Owners Building. If anybody has a picture of that, that was where,
Don Stone has a picture, it was when the street was flooded, looking that direction, property owners is the name.
Scouts on it.
Yeah.
Well, I've looked for a picture of that for years, because that's the first place we ever had a class,
Yes,
was in the Manhattan Beach Property Owners.
I had a son in her class.
Were you in my class, Betty?
No, my son was in your, parent education
Yeah,
class,
yeah.
because he was not outspoken or anything, and so I thought he shouldn't go into school, and you advised against it.
Yeah, that's, Don Stone, that's in Jan Dennis's book.
It is.
It's one Don Stone took.
Okay.
Do you guys,
Thank you.
I don't know, do they have it on the wall here, this one? When the Manhattan Beach Boulevard was flooded?
No, we have it in our archives, but no.
Yeah,
What year was that?
that's what I'm saying. But it would have been
84?
late fifties, early
Yeah.
sixties.
My first classes were over here at the Manhattan Beach Property Owners Building.
Mhm.
And boy, oh boy, it was murderous. It really was. Because they would have weekends where they'd be throwing parties, and I come in and sweep that out because the kids were coming in. And then you came across and walked down a flight of stairs to get onto the playground.
Hmm.
And so I had my husband made me a signal to have those kids cross, to learn to observe and cross the street. That's wonderful to know there's somebody's got a picture of that. My first class, there was nothing on that playground, nothing on that park, but stairs going down. One slide, there was no trees, the one slide and a swing. That was the equipment, and it was totally bare. I collected money at the end of the school year, and we bought all the trees and worked with the city to landscape that park.
Hmm.
We did the same over here. Some of you know Valley Park in Hermosa.
Yeah.
Yes.
These were my trees. The equipment, recycled material. But we developed Valley Park. The park that is at Third and Larson is a small park, but our program developed that park with equipment. The as I say, we have the Manhattan Beach Heights Park, Pollywog, Larson Street, part of Live Oak, the classes. I would collect money and work with the city to put the landscaping in there. When I moved up to Los Osos, I helped to plant trees going into the state park at Morro Bay, so that we would have more continuity with the landscaping. 17th Street going into the park, and Los Osos was done by the neighborhood, planting the trees. I feel that I have been so fortunate to work with such cooperative people that I've been able to, this says that the trees help the children grow up. I was at an event not long ago and somebody said, asked about my background, and I said, mentioned I've been working with children and parents all my life. And anyway, he said, I said, asked him, I said, are you aware of the park at Valley? Yes. And I said, did you know that we used all recycle? And they said, no, they were not aware of that. But on the other hand, another gentleman was sitting there and he said, are you talking about that tire swing? And I said, yes. He said, I don't know whose idea it was to do that, but he said, you just try and repair a thing like that.
He was one of the maintenance people that said that?
Yes,
Yes, his job.
it's not easy to replace a tire in a swing. And he was not a happy camper. I was involved with that. Yeah, thank you, Betty. Some of the other things that have happened here in the area. We had a program dealing with young, what we call peppers, pre-K. And these children were awarded a little something here from the city, having been in one of these classes in '86 and '87. Here's a picture of our teachers. And without a doubt, they are the most dedicated that you would ever find. Across the street used to be Diane Harrington's nursery school.
Yes.
And she is a remarkable woman. She really is. And Stella Berry just retired. She was with us for close to 40 years. The program, as I say, is 63 years old. And it's something that we really feel the celebration. One of the parties that I gave to honor our teachers down at the Portofino, we used to have a gathering for them to be able to meet together. And it was always such a pleasure. I have written several, I took several writing classes and wrote many compositions having to do with what we did with the classes and about the teachers, more than anything. It wouldn't have lasted. No way. if they didn't have those women that were so dedicated. And I have great appreciation for our community and how supportive they've been. We try and keep the prices down, and we do have scholarships. But nobody believes that there was ever a farm at Miracosta. It's too sophisticated.
And what year
It's
do
too sophisticated a school to have a farm. But I swear,
what year do you think that was, that picture?
You remember the farm, Rob?
Before my time.
Before your time.
this had to be in
Early 50s.
the early 50s or
Yeah, the first.
I don't think it was even in the 60s. I don't know what year Miracosta.
It opened in 50.
I think the first graduating class was 55. Does that sound right?
54.
54?
53 or
54.
54.
No, I went to Sarah.
That was a good year.
Well, then it had to be in that at that point in time.
And my daughter was a pepper, and it was very sad to learn that the state made us take that program away, and they felt as though we were giving our kids a head start, and therefore our schools looked all the better, more better than the other schools around the state.
Oh, wow.
Well, I do
think that was
feel
today's talk.
I felt so badly when the state took away. We were not funded, and haven't. The program hasn't been funded for years. And those parents are paying. I just got a $500 donation the other day to be able to help somebody who can't afford to pay for it.
Where do the schools meet, or the classes meet now?
Well, we used to have, most of the classes now are at Pacific. We have our offices in Pacific, and we have about 3 separate buildings over there. We used to be in every elementary school, Hermoso Redondo, and we would coordinate that with for the state to have that advantage for the children. And when the state decided parent education was not a priority, the adult school funding was pulled. And so now it's kind of pricey. But we still serve probably 1,000, 1,500 families in the South Bay. We have almost all of Pacific, and we're not in Redondo anymore. But it's the program is still going. The quality of the teachers is unbelievable. They are so dedicated. And I have great hopes that it will still be going on, because I think there's enough acceptance by the 3 school districts. They seem to feel there's good value. So I really and truly think that we will continue on, and the fact that there've just been 3 of us as the administrators tells me that they feel that their job is good. So,
Any questions for Kathleen?
What do you think about the future of education in general? Are we getting better?
Some
Going
districts are
backwards.
better.
no, and as I say, my oldest is retiring this year, I think, from school.
Are you
And she
depressed
feels
about the,
she's concerned. Yeah, no, as she's concerned. And because it's becoming so sophisticated. If you're looking for a medicine to go into, look at carpal tunnel syndrome.
All the technology.
Yeah.
This thumb is used,
Mhm.
overused every day, all day. And I'm sure all night. Nobody can monitor. But that would be one of my, truly.
But you see, now technology has voice activated things like Siri. You don't have to use your thumb anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer.
Well, then that's healthy in that way, because boy, oh boy, the more I see kids using that thumb, I
Not just
think,
kids,